my third is definitely self-care, because people think of self-care as luxury, and I don't think of it that way at all. I think of self-care as like my investment in my personal happiness, my personal strength and centeredness to do everything I need in life. So those are two, like the three topics I talk on the most, and then sleep would be my number four. Like people who
What was the
don't
first one?
sleep,
Oh,
sleep.
sleep.
People who don't sleep know they need it. And then everyone else is like, if that's really the key to health, teach me how to get it better. I'll do that one.
My goal with this podcast is to connect you with the very people that have positively impacted my life and will continue to allow you to create a holistic and limitless perspective on yours. This is D. Foss, and welcome to the LT360 podcast. So my guest today is a fellow nutrition nerd, right? Someone who I haven't known for too long, but has definitely had an awesome impact on me and kind of my oversight and thought process on overall just holistic wellness based on her following the information she puts out. She is a doctor by sorts, doctor by day. She has her PhD in turmeric, and she is the owner and founder of Fusionary Formulas. So everyone, welcome Dr. Shivani Gupta. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Good? Yeah. Looking great with the, you got the matching, you got the red
Yep.
earrings and the red dress, and she's got such a better background than I do, but it's okay. It's okay.
I'm lucky I built this one into my home office a long time ago.
Yeah, beautiful. And I had the pleasure of getting over there and doing a podcast there as well. It's an awesome space. You definitely feel zenned out. You feel the vibe when you're in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So speaking of, vibe and zen and just overall, right, like holistic approach, you come from like that Ayurvedic background, right? Can you kind of give me some insight? Because I never really heard the entire story of how that came into your life. So I would love to kind of get that background knowledge.
Sure. So I was born and raised here in the US in Texas, but my parents' parents and brothers and sisters and everyone was still back in India. So growing up, I'd go to India every single year of my life. And anytime you got sick or you got hurt, my grandma would be like, you just put turmeric on that. You just eat some turmeric for that. So all those home remedies came out a lot when I was growing up. I always had like GI issues and GI upset. And so she would give me a little tonic called hinkapani. It's just a spice that here in the West you called asafoetida, and a purple salt we had that was really special. And I drank it and it was magical relief. So growing up, I was surrounded by strong women and entrepreneurs who were always there to like heal you, but were always like working and building cool things. And eventually by college, I had gotten sick so many times through high school. I'd get sick, they'd give me Augmentin, full courses of antibiotics. And I got so sick of being sick that by college, I was like, wait a minute, I'm in India. You guys say yoga and Ayurveda fixes everything. I'm going to dig in a little deeper now. Like I'm ready. And so when I started to study it, I realized I had already been living that lifestyle pretty much in my household. My parents were already teaching it to me just by how I lived. But I got to finally study it officially, like the science of it, and really dive deep. I started traveling throughout India and visiting every single Ayurvedic spa, every Ayurvedic doctor, every guru. I convinced my parents to let me go live there for periods of time and study under them. My parents were like, I just convinced my parents I'd one day start something really successful from this. So they had to let me do the groundwork. And it was cool. I just soaked it up. And my whole intention was, as a woman born in the West, how do I take this like complex, massive amount of wisdom and distill it down to something we can use? Like, what are the top 10 things? And what I've learned since then is it's not that simple. It's not like a top 3 at all. I try to teach that, and then I'll bring people deeper into like the Ayurvedic lifestyle to do what I know can help you feel amazing.
There always has to be an entryway, right? There's especially when the culture and the societal norm is way different than that.
Yeah.
So I think you've done a great job, but it's awesome to hear the story. I didn't know you grew up in Texas. I had I knew that, ancestrally that's where you came from, but I
Yeah.
didn't know how it kind of tied into your life, your childhood. When
Yeah.
you got to college, what was the first thing you studied? What did you get your bachelor's in?
So my degree is in entrepreneurship. I went to a school called Babson in Boston that's #1 for entrepreneurship. And when I got there, I started studying and I got really upset. I was like, everyone here is unethical. I don't understand why I'm here. And so I found a professor who sat me down and he's like, I think you belong over in social entrepreneurship. Like those might be your people. And it was an MBA course, but he's like, I'll get you in. So I got into the course and I was like, oh, this is me, this is my life purpose, because there's so many models of entrepreneurship, but one of them is inherently what you build will change the world. And so since college, like my first idea was a destination spa, so that's how I convinced my parents to let me go all over India and visit all the places. I was like, I'm opening one, don't worry. And then I didn't end up doing that because you need millions of dollars to open a really beautiful Ayurvedic destination spa, and no one would give me that kind of money at 23. So then I kind of started my journey. I built an Ayurvedic oil company, Ayurvedic organic cotton company, and now I own Fusionary Ayurvedic supplements. It's just my evolution through how do I build cool things that are Ayurvedic.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I did know that you went to Babson. Obviously, I went to school right down the street from there. So it's funny how worlds collide. But it's funny how we came to actually meet each other here at Gravity and Oxygen.
Yeah.
Through personal training, through Paul, and through PC, and it's been awesome so far. And we've had so many good conversations. And that first training session we did together, and we just talked about this stuff all the entire time. And we were like, oh my God, we got to talk more. We got to talk more.
Yeah.
And especially about how you started to dumb down, I guess you could say, some of the practices. What if you had to name like those top 3, like those things that are the entryway for you to talk to people? What are they? How do you get into people's mindset?
Right now it's immune system. That's like the most timely topic on earth, boost your immune system. But when I talk about boosting your immune system, I'm really still teaching you reduce your inflammation, self-care, but under the umbrella called immunity, because the same topics I love to teach apply. My #2 is definitely inflammation right now, because most people know that inflammation is the root cause of most diseases, and they know that every itis is really inflammation in the body, but they don't know how to tackle it. Inflammation's a big, complex topic. So I try to break that down into little pieces for them. And then my third is definitely self-care, because people think of self-care as luxury, and I don't think of it that way at all. I think of self-care as like my investment in my personal happiness, my personal strength and centeredness to do everything I need in life. So those are like the 3 topics I talk on the most, and then sleep would be my #4. Like people who don't sleep, sleep. People who don't sleep know they need it. And then everyone else is like, if that's really the key to health, teach me how to get it better. I'll do that one.
So that has, for me, it's kind of fallen into the realm of self-care. Like if I care enough about myself to want better, or to want a better tomorrow, then it has to start tonight. It has to start with, okay, get a good routine in before I go to sleep, and ensure that I'm going to get impactful sleep, right? A lot of us will close our eyes and we'll sleep, but there's rolling over, there's waking up, there's going to the bathroom, there's TV on in the background, there's lights everywhere. And I think people lose the sense of that's a third of our life.
Absolutely. And they don't even like revere it. Like sleep is the anchor to all of our health. Sleep is when the body detoxes. Sleep is when the body restores, rejuvenates. If you want to be strong and healthy and vibrant, it starts with sleep. But a lot of times we're like, Facebook, close it, crash, hope for sleep. And I used to do that too. I'm not perfect at all. And I still do it sometimes. And I'm like, hello, you million times better. Don't do that again. And so whenever I do fall off the wagon, the next night I'm like, okay, tea, no lights on, like I do it the right way. And then I get that delicious sleep. And then I wake up ready to like work out with you guys, ready to do more. And it's that reminder, right?
Yeah, valid. And it helps with immunity because it is allowing the body, right, to fend off and take care of what's going on internally so that it can deal with the external environment that is being thrown at it every single day.
Exactly.
With immunity right now, what are you kind of preaching out to your people, your community, your clients, your even your health professionals that are selling your products out of their office?
Immunity is one of those things. It's very multifaceted, right? It's the mindset, the stress. It's, are you moving? Are you exercising? Time in nature, food, supplementation, sleep. It's like a whole circle
The
in terms of
sundial,
overall.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's that
Basically,
circle of
the
health. Yeah, it's everything. And sometimes people don't want to hear that. A lot of times when I meet people, they're like, what's the magic pill? Give me the short answer. Maybe I'm hanging out with all like type A entrepreneurs, but they're like, just give me the quick. I'm like, okay, eat better, drop inflammatory foods, and take your supplements. And the supplements have to really boost the immune system well. Turmeric is antiviral and immune boosting, antioxidant, it's a lot of things, anti-inflammatory. Take your C, take your D, take your ashwagandha to reduce stress in the system, since the body is dealing with the stress, whether you want to acknowledge that or not. Take something for sleep if you need it, but sleep is key. So I'll start there with like supplements and superfoods, because that will get them to pay attention. Then I'll try to remind gently about food, even though a lot of times people don't want to hear it with food. But I'll say just drop those inflammatory foods by 50% if you can, or more.
Good way.
And then we'll go into like self-care.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it's funny that they want that single thing. So from a healthcare perspective, that it's a holistic approach of eating well and then filling in the cracks with supplements. But you find that sometimes you have to give someone, metaphorically and literally, a pill in order for them to be like, oh, that kind of, I feel better, that works. And then they start to listen to you. It's words, but it's how to get to the common everyday person right now.
It's so funny. I built Fusionary 5 years ago, and I did not realize that people would think of me as the one who gives the quick solution. Yeah. That's not how I think of myself. I'm like a nerd. I want to sit there and tell you for 4 hours all the things you can do, and then I want you to come to my house so I can do it with you. Yeah. I did learn that people just want like, what's the easy? And then once they're taking it and they do feel better, like you said, you can have more conversations.
Yeah, valid. It opens their mind up for the concepts. So I want to backtrack a little bit, because we got into the turmeric so fast.
Yeah.
How did you go from being a social entrepreneur bachelor's degree to your degree in turmeric?
Good question. So I graduated Babson. I really wanted to open a destination spa. Yeah. I got married 5 seconds after college, and I told my new husband, I'm like, so babe, I need $3 million and I'm going to build this spa. And he's like, what planet are you from? And I was like, well, I married you. And so
this is crazy.
Why wouldn't someone just hand me that? I was obviously a little naive coming out of school. And he goes, well, how about this? I am so supportive of your dream, but why don't you go earn it? You go make that money, and then you can build your spa. That was like 2003. We're in 2020 now. Mm-hmm. And so I went into being an entrepreneur. I built an Ayurvedic oil company first. My issue is I'm so obsessed with quality. Like the thing I make has to be perfect or it should not exist. So the Ayurvedic oil company, I actually never found the perfect oil. No one would give me an oil that would work for being purely Ayurvedic and effective and something people would use that didn't stink. You have to make some sacrifices, and I wasn't willing to make them. So eventually I started having my children, and I did this like PhD level research project personally on how to have an Ayurvedic pregnancy. And once I collected all that data, I was like, wait, how do people not know that if you have a beautiful Ayurvedic healthy pregnancy and you use these tools, you can have Zen babies? So my intention was, I want to write a book. And I was interested in Ayurveda, but a friend of mine was like, hey, why don't you do your master's in Ayurvedic studies? So then when you write a book on Ayurveda, you have the credentials. And I was like, okay, cool. So I went ahead and started. And then my advisor was like, just so you know, when you have kids is a great time to do a PhD because you've slowed your whole life down for this. Why don't you go ahead and do it? I was like, okay. I just wanted to be an educator on Ayurveda to people through books.
Yeah.
And I got kind of put into this little path, did my master's, did my PhD. By the time the PhD came to be about, I wanted to do a clinical experiment, which is not the right word, a clinical study on pregnant women with certain oils. And I wanted to prove that this oil could stop, what is it called, Charlie horses? Because that's a big problem in pregnancy. And my advisor was like, I'm sorry, I can't let you do anything to pregnant women in America. There's too much liability.
Yeah.
What else are you interested in? I was like, well, I've actually fallen in love with turmeric and I think I'm going to create this turmeric product. He was like, why don't you do your PhD in turmeric then, if that's what you're going to talk about all day forever? So I said, okay. So we just dove into the science. And because I dove so deeply into the science, it helped me build the coolest product. Mm-hmm. And then that's where I am today. For 5 years, I've been talking to doctors about turmeric.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Super cool. How long did it take you to get your PhD?
Oh, it took 2.5 years of reading and studying. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. It's not easy.
And now you speak, you were just speaking on your love for conveying information kind of through like books, right? So I know you might have mentioned that you still want to do that. Is that something that's already in the works? Is that something that is coming soon, or just a foresight?
No, so I did the master's, and then I started the PhD in turmeric, and then I launched my supplement company, Fusionary Formulas. And in that time period, that book on pregnancy had to be birthed. Like it was just, I don't know what you call it, but it was like shaking inside of me, waiting to come out. Uh-huh. And so I wrote the book. I published the book. It's called The Conscious Pregnancy. It's on Amazon. It was my first book. But then because I took such a big turn into turmeric, and my main focus is like orthopedic surgeons, how to how to help reduce joint pain with turmeric. Yeah. I don't speak on pregnancy anymore. It's like a topic I let go of. Okay. And I'm one of those people, I just keep falling in love with new topics. So like right now, I'm equally in love with self-care, inflammation, and immunity. All 3 books exist inside of me. And I'm like, Shivani, just write one, honey. You can't just keep writing. I actually write books and abandon them. That's my problem. I have a book I wrote on self-care 2 years ago. I just need to finish and publish.
Awesome. Yeah. How long did it take you? Because I definitely see myself writing in the future. I would love to know.
It typically takes me a year. I think this all comes down to focus, time, and how long you let the idea percolate. So for me, I'm like every free minute I have, I'm contemplating on a book. I literally write content in my head all day long. Yeah. And so I'm like showering and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's a great point on immunity. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm walking. I should write that down. So for me, my head is constantly jingling with ideas. And it's just about, like, I really just need an editor to sit down and say, here's your deadline, stop it. That's it.
Yeah, I think we all need that accountability, right? And same thing happens in fitness and, having a nutrition coach, or all of that plays out.
It's so important. I've learned if you want to have a healthy life, hire the dream team, period. Find it. It has to exist. I have the best chiropractor, the best acupuncture physician in my mind, the best fitness professionals ever, the best yoga teacher ever. And when I surround myself by them, even if I'm not actively doing private consultations, they're constantly inspiring me and teaching me to live my healthiest life and stay active in my healthiest life.
Yeah, that's so true, because they desire more from themselves. They're pushing themselves. You see that, you desire the same for yourself, and it circles. It's momentum, just, gaining and gaining, getting bigger and bigger. Now, as you try to focus on the immunity right now, right? With everything going on, what are the basic principles of attacking it? We talked about, right, there's that wheel, there's the phases of the moon. It comes from your GI, it comes from healthy skin, it comes from getting enough sleep. What from a specific foods perspective are you kind of sharing with your people? Is it more of the takeout, or is it more of the add in? How does that play a role?
It's more about how the fire transforms. So, I could sit there and tell you, and I do this a lot, drop the 5 inflammatory foods, gluten, dairy, meat, sugar, alcohol. And everyone goes, that girl's crazy. I don't want to listen to her. You're taking away my joy. And I'm like, okay, take your turmeric and it'll undo it too. And they're like, perfect, I'll do that. And I won't drop the foods. And that's not going to be a winning argument, right? Unless you've already got the person who's ready to make the change, then we can have great conversations about nutrient density and variety of color and all of that. Right now where I'm at, because I'm so many weeks now into obsessing with the immune system, that now my mind has distilled on this point of, in Ayurveda, we teach a concept called Agni. Agni is the digestive fire. So if you can just have reverence for the digestive fire and treat it with respect throughout the day, maybe the food that you eat isn't the most important part. Maybe it's truly how active is that digestive system? How healthy is it? So if something comes at you and your immune system, your digestive system is on point. So how do we get there? Number 1, don't start the day with caffeine. Hit your day starting with room temperature water or ginger lemon tea. Support yourself from that first moment of what you put in there. Also using a tongue scraper is a big recommendation I make, because the tongue scraper ignites the digestive system and detoxes ama or toxins from the body.
Okay.
Then when you have breakfast, make healthy choices. It is about a little bit of elimination of the bad and adding in of the good, but have something that's really supportive. And I think we know when we eat foods that are heavy and old and weigh us down and make us feel gross. I totally have done that this week when I was like, oh my God, what do I eat? Oh, I'll eat leftover enchiladas for breakfast. Sure. And I ate them. And I was like, my whole system just stopped. I was like, recognize. You're stopped, weighed down by enchiladas at 10 in the morning. Was that ideal? No. Okay. Breakfast is not when you put heavy in the system. At lunch, you can eat a bigger meal. Allow that system to digest it then. Dinner, smaller meal. Stop by a certain time so that digestive system stops working and that sleep can be ideal. So my thought process a little bit more right now is real reverence for the gut, probiotics, hot herbal teas, and avoiding the inflammatory foods that'll attack that system.
And it's funny because, right, the immune system is quite literally holding guard directly outside of the gut. And people just don't understand the effect that those inflammatory foods have, right? The proteins from gluten is a protein, right? Most people don't think because it comes from a carb-based food most of the time. But sugars, right, and the meat proteins, what they're doing is they're basically going into that gut and they're creating little lacerations, and that allows other toxins to go out and attack the immune system. And then when your immune system's on guard 24/7, you lose the ability to just take care of the inflammation that came up in your knee, the small things that are going on in other parts of your body. So one thing I really liked that you said was the coffee, right? Or just caffeine in general, anything that's highly caffeinated. Why do you say no caffeine early in the morning? Because most people, 90% of the world is highly addicted to caffeine, especially first thing in the morning.
Totally. Even I have green tea 3 times a day, and I started green tea a long time ago. It's a metabolism booster. It's a powerful antioxidant, but it also has that little bit of caffeine that helps me wake up. 10 o'clock keeps me up, 3 o'clock keeps me up, and then I can wind down. And so in Ayurveda, what we teach is it's not good for the adrenals. It's not good for the body to just up and go boom into caffeine and start your day. There has to be an easing in. And in Ayurveda, we call that morning ritual dinacharya, starting the day with reverence and a good routine. So if you can wake up, fit in some good mindful practices that reduce stress, stress has a huge impact on the immune system. So can you invest that first hour of your morning in meditation, walking outside, deep breathing, anything, yoga stretching, any kind of stretching, then, or working out. Working out is a huge stress reliever.
Just it's simply blood flow, right? It's lubrication of the joints. It's getting your mind off of something. You're getting dopamine and serotonin and all of those positive things. I think in the morning, it's natural to wake up and think of like I have to get this done, and this done today, or this is still left over from yesterday. And I think a lot of people just need to wake up with the intent of, one, I got to wake up, right? And two, what can I make positive from today? What can I go after today? What is something that I really want that I can strive for? What's my purpose of like going out there today? I think it's hugely important. And one more thing on the caffeine, what I was always taught is that the coffee itself, right? What we think of the healthy benefits of coffee come from an acid that is extracted in the coffee from the beans. But when it's roasted, and 90% of the time how we're intaking our coffee, it's damaging that because of the heat.
Okay.
So now when it's going into your stomach, it's actually decreasing the amount of stomach acid that your body's able to produce and have, which slows down the metabolism of your food, right? You don't have as much stomach acid. There's not as much acid to break down. There's not as many enzymes to break down, which brings me to the next thing I wanted to harp on that you talked about was the scraping of the tongue.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because I don't think people realize, and I always think of it from a fasting standpoint, but I don't think people realize that you actually start to accumulate and develop and secrete enzymes even when you smell something or when you put anything in your mouth that really touches your tongue or the outsides of your cheeks.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that just the basic scraping of the tongue. Yeah. Now, like, does brushing your teeth and scraping your tongue, does that suffice?
It does. So brushing your teeth is brushing your teeth. We should all do that twice a day. We should floss. But using a tongue scraper is from Ayurveda, like a daily health ritual that we're supposed to do every morning. And the tongue scraper can be steel, silver, or copper. And you're supposed to take that tongue scraper and scrape the tongue gently 7 to 14 times. And if you have a gag reflex, don't go too far back, keep it a little forward. But what that's doing is, a lot of times if you go to an Ayurvedic doctor, they'll look at your tongue to see, is there a white coating? If there's a white coating on your whole tongue, you've got toxins and you need to detox, and you're not eating well for your digestive system. It's an indication of what's going on right here in the tummy. So if you have white coatings, and I've caught that at different times of year on my tongue, I'm like, what have you been eating for the last couple of weeks? Your GI system is not happy. You need to double down on GI healthy practices.
I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can definitely feel it. And sometimes it's just, lack of hydration. Right? Sometimes it's like you just ate a very oily, protein heavy food, and your body didn't have the amount of enzymes and acid to really capture all of it.
Right. And now it's sitting there fermenting, turning into toxins in the gut, putrid. I always think of that whenever I go out for like a really big fine dining meal. I'm like, how are we going to eat tonight? Is that really what we want to leave in our system tonight? No.
So with Ayurveda, do you guys talk about the connection of like the nervous system? And I mean, something as simple as, right, the vagus nerve, which connects your gut and your brain. Is that talked about a ton?
It's interesting. I have the original Ayurvedic Sanskrit texts, and it's fascinating how much detail these textbooks went into surgery, all the different ailments we have, all the different things that connect. I really feel like Ayurveda was that first place that said the gut starts everything. The gut is where the immune system comes from. Gut, mood, gut, brain, gut. So that's why I'm so obsessed with our gut health, because if you don't manage that, everything else is going to go haywire. So really, if you can align your day, like if every few hours of the day, the things that you are doing are supporting the gut, then of course we're going to have less stress, less mood issues, and all these things.
Yeah, totally agree. I have to put you in contact with one of my business partners, Amanda Rigby. She is a registered dietitian.
Okay.
And the name of her business is Heal Thyself Nutrition. So it's basically healthy self, but she Heal Thyself, and she is all gut, all day. Super, super smart, amazing. She has her own practice. She's about 26, going on 27. She's had her own practice for a couple of years. She does very well. She's super smart. Definitely put you guys in contact with each other.
That's awesome. It's nice to hear that there's fellow people out there as obsessed with the gut as I am. I'm like, why don't we all just get it? Like, that's the key.
And it's funny. I think the first time that really clicked for me was like 3 years ago. I got into just watching like nutrition-based seminars and TED Talks and YouTube videos. And I watched a TED Talk, and he talked about how the gut is really our first brain. And by the end of that like 18-minute presentation, my whole mindset was changed. It was so captivating. And
I find this one. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I might have it saved in my YouTube somewhere. I do that pretty often. Whenever I get a good one, I add it to a playlist called One Soul, One Goal.
Okay.
So if I ever want to listen to just a number of like really awesome things to remind myself, I go back to that playlist and listen to it. So I'll try to find it and send it to you.
Cool.
Just in general, when it comes to overall self-care, what are 3 things that you can tell people to do, or just like seek out, right? Is it more of like the movement aspect of it, or the yoga? Is it more of the meditation or the deep breathing? Is it something as simple as the zen of your living space? What are like 3 things that you see working for yourself, or that you really like to inform people of?
Oh, it's such a hard question.
There's so many.
I love all of it. Okay. I'll pick my number one because it's the easy one. My number one self-care ritual is tea time is me time. So there's a series of self-care rituals. I call it modern Ayurveda self-care, because I took the Ayurvedic self-care ritual, changed the order, and added a few, because I was like, we're in modern day times, we can't do that all in that way.
The Dr. Shivani modern Ayurveda.
Because I was like, I can't do it the classic way. That's just not going to work.
It doesn't apply to everyday life with kids and a business, and 2020, no.
Exactly. So my number one that I added was tea time is me time. And it was really deliberate, because life is crazy, hectic, busy. We've got all these different things pulling at us. We have social media inundating us. We've got usually places to run around and go to and all that. So I needed a way to like center myself, ground myself, and recalibrate. In Ayurveda, we teach this concept called the doshas, or the mind-body constitutions. And one of them is vata. And so vata just means movement and air. So if you've ever had one of those moments that's like crazy busy and stressful and you get anxious, you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do it all? So what I learned really quickly was a cup of tea is a very simple way to like center. So I have my set green tea times, but I also have times of day where I'm like, I'm not hungry, I'm not tired, I'm not anything, but I can't, like, I need to just chill for this minute. And I'll have a cup of tea, and I literally talk to myself. I'm like, how do you feel? Do you need to eat more? What is your schedule today? Does that make sense? Are you tired? Should you change tomorrow's schedule? What's your plan? What time are you sleeping? Like, I will just check in with all the it's almost like a flexing with myself. I don't know how to explain it. I call it recalibration. I calibrate to my day what I've committed to and what makes sense. And I will start canceling things as needed. I will adjust things. I'll move things around. I'll block self-care into my schedule as needed. I'll really figure out like what will light me up. Where can I soak up the joy? And that's really like my biggest self-care act is times. Like I will not talk to people during tea time. Tea is for me. Even if I'm in my car and I'll just turn off the radio, silence my phone, and I'm driving and I'm having my tea and I'm like, okay, what do I need to be my most centered, productive, happy self? So that's my number one. My number two right now in my life is definitely yoga. I was into yoga since I was a teenager, but right now I'm in a program for yoga teacher training because I have wanted that since I was 20 and I turned 40 this year and I was like, that's it. As my 40th birthday gift to myself, I'm doing this thing. And I'm really grateful I did because I'm doing yoga so much now that I'm building all sorts of strength. I'm building like this, I don't even know how to explain it, but if you do a lot of yoga, you will change. It will just shift you as a human being in a way that I don't know one can even explain. Like, it's just, it evolves your spirituality. It evolves your sense of self. It evolves your ability to be centered at all times from like a deep inner knowing strength standpoint. And so I'm really grateful to my yoga practice right now.
That's awesome. And you said, right, there's so many things that overlap from a spirituality standpoint with Ayurveda and yoga practice.
Yep. Which is yoga and Ayurveda are sister sciences. So it made sense that I would eventually deep dive into the yoga piece. Part of what I would always recommend to someone is balancing yourself with yoga, but I didn't have the knowledge. And I don't recommend something until I fully understand it.
That's awesome.
And then I think my third self-care tip would be, I would pick tongue scraper, but I've talked about it enough. Yeah. So I will pick Abhyang massage. Abhyang massage just means self-massage to the body. Okay. So in Ayurveda, you would like take a towel, lay it out. You take a quarter cup of oil, any food grade oil. If you can warm it up, that's better. If not, no big deal. I typically don't make that time to warm it up. But this weekend, for example, I was like, I'm taking an hour for all my Ayurvedic self-care. Yeah. I did my dry brushing. That's like from the feet up for moving the lymphatic system. Mm-hmm. And then I did the Abhyang massage. So you start with your feet and you're like very generous with the oil, but it's for oleation of the joints. It's for suppleness of the skin. It moves the lymphatic system and some systems as well, but it's also grounding and relaxing and centering. And so in this modern day time where our thoughts just go everywhere, it really centers you and it helps you get better sleep. So I'm a big fan of anything that's contributing to good sleep.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've never heard. I'm definitely gonna look into that self-massage practice. What's it called one more time?
Abhyang. So ABHYANGA. Abhyang massage.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna be going back through this, as anyone who's watching probably will need to, right, to jot down and take notes on all of the awesome insight you've already provided. I have one more question, but I want you to let everyone know where they can find you.
Okay, sure. So my websites are shivanigupta.com, SHIVANI Gupta.com, and fusionaryformulas.com. It's FUSIONARY. And then I'm on Instagram as @Dr.ShivaniGupta and @FusionaryFormulasRx. And then Facebook, you can definitely find me.
Awesome. What is, are you still doing the like the live Q&As with Instagram and Facebook? Are you still doing those right now?
You know, for a little while, I did Facebook Lives for like 2 weeks straight during tea time. Yeah. And I wasn't sure if enough people were seeing them. So I was like, I don't know about this. Yeah. But I've had it in my heart to do a podcast for a really long time. I already have the name for it. I already know all the first doctors I want to interview, because what's really interesting is for 5 years, all I have done is call on doctors and have the most profound conversations with them about how they heal people and help people with their health. And I'm such a nerd. I'm always like, well, how? What? What'd you do? What was the sequence? What testing? And so I just want to have like those interviews, but in podcast form, so everyone else can nerd out with me on like, what are those miracles that these amazing integrative doctors have seen in their patients using natural methods. And so that's something I definitely plan to start pretty soon.
That's awesome. That is super good to hear. I'll definitely try to connect you too with a couple of the doctors that I work with, Dr. Zembrowski, Dr. Witkowski. Dr. Witkowski is awesome resource. He was one of the first 15 lifestyle medicine doctors in the world.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's an awesome resource. If he's doing anything in terms of like webinars or anything, I'll definitely send you the info. That would be
Nice.
huge.
That sounds good. Webinars are something that people are asking for a lot. So I've built one now on immunity. And that's probably what I'm going to be doing for the next few months, is just immunity webinars. Because you kind of need the length of a webinar to dive in, and you kind of need a PowerPoint so people can see what you're talking about.
And just to organize your thoughts, right? And convey them in a way that makes sense to people.
Yeah, and people are visual and auditory. So I think you need to bring that together.
Yeah, exactly. Give them best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So my last question is, and I think this is going to be super interesting from you. 5 people you get to have a 30-minute conversation with. Okay, these 5 people can be someone that is dead or alive. I would love to hear who your 5 people are.
Oh my gosh, that's such a hard question. You should have told me in advance so I could think about it.
That's the beauty of it. I throw it on people randomly, and then it's a real deep dive into who they are, where their mindset is, who they admire. Some people bang them out. Some people are like, they would have already had them answered, and others are like, I need some time. So.
Okay. So my number 1 is Dr. Mark Hyman. I worked at Canyon Ranch when he was one of the doctors there. So it's like I walked in as this little employee, and he was one of our amazing doctors healing people. And so I heard him lecture one-on-one and all that. I love how he simplifies huge health and wellness for topics for us ways. So I really admire him. And in functional medicine, he's amazing. My number 2 would be Mother Teresa. I don't know if that's really random, but like when you said it, I was like, I just want to talk to her, because if there was ever someone who served at such a deep level with such service and love and like a pure heart, it's her. And I always am coming from that place. I don't know if it comes across that way, but I'm just like, can I just feed everybody the right thing, and then we'll all be okay in the world. And so just to be in her presence, I think would reinforce for me what I'm trying to do here on this planet. Mahatma Gandhi would interest me just because I think I have been born with this ability to keep the peace. I teach a lot, but in my personal life, I'm like the balance keeper of a lot of people and situations. I'm like the ambassador of sorts. So it'd be cool to just meet him and be inspired by his ethos and the like deep values he had to have to go against so many people, because that takes a lot of bravery. And sometimes I don't have that bravery. Sometimes I keep all my thoughts over here inside, and I want to say but I'm scared of getting crucified. So it'd be cool to just be with him. And the rest would really be people in health and wellness. Like I see Dr. Frank Lipman is out there teaching and inspiring people to be healthy. I just revere all these people. Or in the yoga world, Sean Korn has inspired so many people to really become a part of their practice and revere their practice in a sacred way. So I watch these people, and I'm always curious, like, what is your mindset that allowed you to just keep going? Because whenever you're on this journey, the journey's a lot longer than you ever thought it could be, right? You start and you're like, yeah, the whole world will listen and they'll love it. And it's not like that at all. So any of those people that I can meet who would be like, honey, a couple years more, it's okay. I think that would be really good for me.
I totally agree. It's a marathon.
Yeah, it is. And self-care matters when you do a marathon. So that's why you hear me teach self-care.
Absolutely. You got to stop at mile 6, mile 10, mile 12. You got to get your water, right? You got to get your electrolytes in, take care of yourself, stretch a little bit, and keep running. Yeah, totally agree. Well, if you don't have anything else for the audience, that's all I have. It's been
that's it. I'm good.
Yeah, it's been an awesome time getting to even hear more of your story, because I didn't know a lot of it. So I'm hoping that it can, like we're looking for inspiration from those individuals. I hope this can be a piece of inspiration for someone out there listening. So I think it
For
will.
sure. I hope so. You know what I learned? You actually have no idea how your journey will land you at where you are. I was a Texas girl and I just wanted to create a cool business. I had no idea. Then I get to Babson, I learned social entrepreneurship models. That was amazing. Then I graduate and I'm like, no one wants to give me millions for my destination spa to change the world. All right, I'll prove you wrong. I'll totally make the money and I'll build it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Okay. That was going to take me a lot longer than like a year.
Yeah.
Then on that journey to build the spa, I ended up at the feet of like the most amazing, authentic Ayurvedic gurus in India. And I just sat there like a little kid, just soaking it all in. I didn't know I would one day become an Ayurvedic practitioner. I didn't know one day I would launch an Ayurvedic herbal supplement company. I had no idea any of that was coming.
Amazing.
So I just did it. Then when it was time to have kids, I'm a researcher. So I did my little project and I was like, wait, people need this. Okay, I'll do my master's. Okay, I'll do my PhD. I'll be Dr. Shivani to teach the world Ayurvedic pregnancy. Again, no idea. Did it, published it, became a speaker. Then I launched my supplement company in that time too. Then all I do is lecture and teach on turmeric and to doctors and people. And then now here I am. And it's like the 2.0 version of that. Now I get to teach online all day. I get to dig into the Ayurvedic topics I love. I get to be a practitioner with people and work with them. And that's a little bit of my science and discovery. As you help them, you see what works in the population.
Sure.
And then I get to make a huge global impact with what I created, whether it's the knowledge or the product itself. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't have imagined at the beginning that all of that would lead me to being perfect for this job.
Yeah.
And then you have to have the humility to know that really this job is probably just training for some other job you can't even think about yet, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. I hope learning about Ayurveda inspires so many people to just take care of their health.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I'm, it's always been something on the forefront of my mind, and I've never given it the time to fully dive into the terms and the language and the ideology of its entirety. But I know that I'm in line with a lot of its understanding and its theoretical practices. So I think it's just a perfect fit for me to continue to learn more and more. And you've been an awesome resource for that. So
happy to teach it to you anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And we hope to see you soon back in the gym. But at the least, until then, stay fit, stay healthy, right? All the good stuff. And hope your family stays safe.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yours as well.
Thank you. I will talk to you soon. Everyone listening, until next time, be limitless. Adios.
Bye.
My goal with this LT360 podcast is not only to bring you the best guests, stories, and lessons, but also the best products and services that span all markets and industries that will allow you to create a limitless lifestyle day in and day out. So listen in for these amazing deals. What's up, Limitless Theory Tribe? Hope you enjoyed the episode. I wanted to take a second to give you an opportunity to save 10% off on anything in the Limitless Theory apparel store. Everything from beach towels to coffee mugs, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and tank tops, and much, much more. New styles rolling out all the time. Use code LT10 at checkout for 10% off. LT10 at checkout, all capitalized, for 10% off anything Limitless Theory apparel related. And all you have to do is take a picture and tag us so that you can get 10% off again next time. Peace. Did I tell you guys about my new water filtration system? It's sitting right on my kitchen counter, and it took me less than 5 minutes to install. It's super, super easy, and it's very beneficial, saving me a lot of time and money. It's called Pure H2O.
Pure H2O filters out the chlorine taste and bad odors, greatly improving the quality and the clarity of your tap water with literally the flip of a switch. It can take out 97% of the chlorine found in typical tap water and 77 other contaminants. And I said it's saving me time and money. Filtered water is environmentally responsible because you're choosing not to buy plastic water bottles. And those prepackaged water bottles, as we are learning, are far less healthy than we think. There's a lot of contaminants in those things. They're being mass produced, and those companies are caring more about the money and less about the quality. All right. So Pure H2O cares a little bit more. They're not looking for mass production. They're looking for high quality. And it's your water, and we understand that water is the foundation of the body. There's a strong connection between the quality of our water and a long, healthy life, right? Our bodies are 72% water, and that requires us to refill and fulfill that on a daily basis with pure, clean water for optimal health. So take the first step towards better health with Pure H2O. You can get an over-the-counter water filtration system or under-the-counter installation kit. Either way, it's a great option for you and your family to take the next step towards health. So go over to shop.com/limitlesstheory and use code 10OFFMA for 10% off your purchase of a Pure H2O water filtration system. Alrighty guys, until then, drink pure. Limitless Fitness family, this one is for you. If you are a weekend warrior, a fitness enthusiast, a fitness professional, or an athlete, young or old, it does not matter. If you are trying to get fit or stay fit or improve your fitness levels, head over to ck1bands.com and grab yourself a pair or set or single band, because a resistance band is one of the most efficient pieces of fitness equipment that you can use anytime, anywhere, any place, and you can bring with you almost anywhere you travel. So head over to ck1bands.com and use the code LIMITLESS, all capitalized, for a special discount at checkout. Please go support Chris, everything he's doing. Chris Capon was a high school teammate of mine, a lifelong friend, and the first guest on the LT360 podcast. He is the creator and founder of CK1 Sports. If you have not listened to that podcast, I highly suggest you go do that. And after you do, or while you are listening or watching it, head over to ck1bands.com and grab yourself some bands. I use these things every day with my clients, and they never disappoint. What's up, LT Tribe? DFOS here, just to express my gratitude and say thank you for tuning in and continuously commenting, liking, sharing, and subscribing to the episodes and the content that we are bringing you. It is helping so much. Once again, want to say thank you and hope you have a great rest of your day.